Float planes provide a vital transportation link between Vancouver Island, the Gulf Islands, and the lower mainland. But the operators of those float plane fleets say if a proposal for a $22 million terminal in Vancouver goes ahead, their flights may be grounded for good. The terminal is being proposed by a private developer who would charge a tariff of $24 on each round-trip ticket. As A News reporter Jonathan Bartlett shows us, the operators say that tariff is not sustainable and would leave the float plane service dead in the water.
Even on a miserable day like today, float planes play an important role on Vancouver Island, shuttling passengers to and from Vancouver.
There's no question that we live on an island, obviously, and we need reliable service to Vancouver.
But a proposed float plane terminal in Vancouver Harbour by a private developer is threatening to increase fares and could sink business.
It's going to impact the bottom line. It's going to put pressure on local businesses, certainly on Vancouver Island.
A developer is planning to build a $22 million seaplane and marine facility at the north end of the Vancouver Trade and Convention Centre, charging an extra levy of $24 for every return trip between Vancouver and the island.
This is unprecedented. There has never been a private developer in between an airline and its passengers in terms of collecting a head tax or a fee.
Now a consortium of 8 float plane companies is proposing a seaplane terminal of their own. They've applied to Port Metro Vancouver to construct a passenger terminal for $10 to $12 million that would operate as a non-profit cooperative with costs kept as low as possible with minimum fare hikes. A planned expansion of facilities in Victoria's Inner Harbour has been put on hold.
We need to redevelop our facilities over in Victoria Harbour because, as you know, they're kind of, temporary over there as well. If now we had the added cost of having to do that, plus having a $24 per passenger fare only for Vancouver, our cost of doing business just gets so sky high. There's just no way. It's ridiculous.
These people are in the business. They know what's needed. They know the type of facility that's required. And I hope that Port Metro Vancouver will listen and take some direction.
Float plane operators say they simply can't absorb the costs of the proposed $22 million facility.
That, for us, is an absolute death spiral. There's no way that we can sustain that. Because if you have an ever-increasing rate and the whole reason the passenger counts are falling off is because the rate's going up, well, then there's no end except for the bottom.
Float plane passengers we spoke to today say they would not be happy paying more.
Probably not.
Would you still take the service?
Most likely.
I probably would use it, but I probably wouldn't travel as much. I travel for business, and if you add that amount every time I go over to the mainland, that's expensive.
Jonathan Bartlett joins us now with more on the story in our Mid-Island Bureau. Jonathan, tell me about this tariff of $24 per passenger. It's based on current loads, so what happens if fewer passengers choose float planes in light of the added cost?
Well, Hudson, that's when it gets worse. The developer has indicated tariffs will increase proportionately to make up for having fewer passengers. So if passenger loads drop by 10%, the tariff will increase by 10%.
And what about the cost of this? It's a $22 million terminal. The tariff is in effect for how long? To pay for that?
Well, the proposal is for a permanent tariff. The head of Harbour Air told us today this is in perpetuity, that the developer would be able to collect this. That's why they're looking for an alternative.
All right, we'll stay on the story. Jonathan Bartlett, thank you.
Thank you.